is a pro athlete health and nutrition coach and founder of Fueling Champions. Okay, so we had so much exciting conversation during the break, and I want to kind of get as much out as I can to our listeners because this is so important. But I want to ask you first,
Sure.
Eddie, what made you so passionate about recycling?
You know, it's not that even so much that it's a passion. It's just something that it makes so much sense that I couldn't, once you kind of start to see what's happening and that these things are resources, once your mind makes that switch that, hey, this is a resource that I'm throwing away, it just became very difficult to view it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of naturally, I guess, talk about that issue like, hey, what are you doing with that? Hey, what are you doing with that? And working at bars while I was finishing up school after I came back from Latin America the first time, everything that touched my hand was recyclable, and yet we threw it all away. We didn't serve food at the places I worked, and so everything from the cardboard boxes that the beers came in to the actual bottles themselves to the aluminum cans that the juice, everything was recyclable.
That would be a huge win just to get the bar industry in on it, because like you said, everything that they serve comes in a can or a glass bottle of some sort.
Well, and I'm going to call out the coffee bars, too. I'm going to call out Starbucks. I was in there last week one day and getting something. Anyway, doesn't matter what I got. But I saw her take the big plastic classic gallon jug of milk and just toss it in the trash.
Yeah.
It could have easily been rinsed out and then put in a separate container. And that happens millions and millions of times every single day across this whole nation. And Starbucks needs to be held accountable for it. I know they've got their straw campaign going now, and I appreciate them being all over that. But they can do much better. They're a big company. They're a very successful company, and they can do it better.
They can, and they do it in certain states, and they do it in states where there's demand for it.
They come from a state where I would think, they were founded in a state where I would think that mindset would be
Seattle,
where people wanted.
Exactly, and so you see them kind of adjust to the local consumer. Hey, these consumers over here know what's going on.
Right.
Let's do it for them. And then you've got like Texas, and it's kind of a little slower. But I should say that we do work with the Starbucks location now. So it's the first one that I know of that we've worked with.
Which one?
Oh, I think it's the one in AT&T's headquarters downtown.
Oh, okay.
And it's still very
did the
cool.
people that work at AT&T demand it? Who demanded it?
I believe that they were
did.
in on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody got on their rear
AT&T does
end.
a really good job.
There you go.
They recycle a lot there.
And that's what it takes. Somebody getting passionate about it to make changes that we absolutely need across this whole country. So what's the story behind Recycle Revolution?
So I started I came back, like I said, from Latin America, and I was looking at doing a couple of things. Once I graduated, I thought about continuing traveling, maybe working in journalism or something. And my parents, though, Maria, my mom, who you've had on here, they were like, what about that recycling idea? And I was like, what recycling idea? And they were like, the one about recycling the glass bottles. And I was like, what about it? And they were like, we think that could be really viable. It makes sense. I mean, nobody recycles these glass bottles. We never thought about it. And I was like, of all the ideas I've had, you're telling me the one that you want me to that you have interest in is the one about recycling glass bottles? And they were like, I think that it's really viable. And, I'd never started a business before or anything. And I thought about it. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. And then I kept thinking. I was like, okay, maybe I'll do this just for a little bit. I'll do it for 3 years. That was my goal when I started Recycle Revolution. I was like, and I'm going to give it everything I have. And I feel like I have a lot of energy at that point in my life. I think I was 26. And we stuck with it for 3 years. We did it. Maria came on as my partner. I mean, she's amazing. I call her Maria. She's my mom outside of work. But I mean, I feel like I met Maria when we started Recycle Revolution together.
Nice.
And she's just amazing. She's competent. She's the best partner I could ever ask for.
She is amazing. She's incredibly sweet.
Spirited.
She came to my party. She came to the party.
I didn't
meet
her.
Had a great time,
you
by
didn't
the
meet
way.
her. You were there, Jill.
I'm sure I saw her.
Yeah, she was wonderful. So cool. So could we talk about the life cycle of a product and the industry that is built around that?
Sure. So I actually, this is how I understand the life cycle of a product. There could be there's a chart out there that's better than this. But when I first started RR, I kept thinking, how come it's so hard for us to get these businesses? Like, where are we in the whole big scheme of things? And so I started realizing how, what happened whenever somebody would produce waste. And so basically you and I, or anybody, when we drink like a Coca-Cola, we're generating it and generating this piece of waste, and we start this cycle. So now we got a piece of waste. It's a bottle. From there, it needs to go to a collector, right? They're going to pick it up and they're going to take it probably to a processor. So at that point, it's still a bottle. When it goes to a processor, at that point, it becomes plastic again. Okay, they're going to take this plastic bottle, chew it down, maybe melt it, grind it, and it's going to become little pieces of workable plastic. At that point, they're going to send it to a manufacturer. They're going to make it into something else, like a plastic bottle. Okay,
yeah.
And then from there, it's going to go to a distributor, to a wholesaler, to a retailer, and then we're going to buy it again, and now we're a consumer. So we start the cycle as a generator, and we finish it as a consumer.
Well, and you say generator, all I could think of is all of the energy that it's taking
Absolutely.
to do that, and then to transport all
the
this
transport,
stuff.
Yeah.
My gosh,
it's
what are
true.
we doing?
And there's something interesting about that, which is also there's a lot of jobs that are created on that cycle. I mean, in between every one of those steps, you do have the transportation. And so recycling is very famous for being a job producer when you compare it to the alternative, which is landfilling, right? And here's the thing, the landfill cycle is not really a cycle, it's a line, and it goes from the generator to the collector to the landfill. So you lose a lot of economic activity in there. But you also lose, obviously, some environmental benefits, because as you move on down the food chain of best practices from reduce, reuse, upcycle, compost, recycle, incinerate, landfills at the bottom, there's no value to be extracted from this activity. This is like a negative value in almost every sense. And as you move up the food chain on that hierarchy, the better and better the practice goes. But our Recycle Revolution, the thing was, I was like, how come it's so hard for us to collect? And I realized that landfilling is so cheap. This is why. And there needs to be somebody else to help start this cycle, and that is there needs to be an educator.
Oh, my gosh. It should cost more to put your crap in a landfill.
That's exactly
it's so opposite.
When
you think about it, you should be rewarded for recycling, and it should cost you to add to a landfill.
You just hit the nail on the head. That is exactly it. And in states where you see recycling rates that are really high, they happen naturally because of economics, because it's expensive to landfill. But in Texas, the fourth cheapest state in the United States,
you want to get somebody to listen, just make it hurt their wallet.
Yep, that's
Even
exactly
if it's
right.
just a little bit. That's how you get their attention.
If the city was to come out tomorrow and quadruple the price of landfilling, recycling rates would go through the roof. We would all be recycling.
Well, there's so much I want to ask you. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make as far as recycling? Number one, I think, and I'm just going to put in case, I'm pretty sure you're going to go to this, but people that think they're doing well by putting a container that's recyclable in the recycling bin, and yet putting it in there with food in it, putting it in there dirty.
That's awful. That's a bad one. As somebody who has to sort it occasionally, still, that's really bad. You know, we have a really human process at RR, so people are always shocked. We give free tours at our center. It's a community center. It's for residents. We made it so that we could show people the work we do. And people are always like, wow, it's such a human process. They expect these machines. And we're like, no, we still sort. We have machines for different things, but we sort by hand.
Wow.
So we have a really good idea of what comes in. And as far as big mistakes, like honest mistakes, I almost don't qualify putting food in the recycle bin as an honest mistake. At that point, it's kind of negligent. Like this is a recycle bin.
Yeah.
Like your plastics, nobody needs to go home and wash these things out with soap and water. That's unnecessary. But like having excess residual food waste, something that can stink. Because imagine we get it the next day. That maybe is not that big of a deal. And let's say we pass it to the next guy, to the processor, and he's got it like 2 weeks later. And then imagine he's shipping it to China or something, and they're opening up the thing, and this food has been in there for like 2 months. I mean, it gets really gross. And
it is gross.
It can contaminate a whole load of recyclables.
Well, and in spite of it being gross, can't it stop that recycling unit, if you will, from being recycled because it's all moldy and icky and stinky, and you have to throw it in the trash, which is what you were trying to avoid in the first place.
At some point, if it's you get enough of those, like one container, theoretically, probably not that big a deal. But if 1 out of every 10 people puts a container in like that, it does become a big deal.
Yeah.
And at some point, somebody will take the whole load and say it's trash.
I see the biggest violations at Whole Foods. When where people, their cafeteria where people eat, and then afterwards they think they're doing the right thing, but you see food in the.
I find the recycling bin confusing.
It is
actually
confusing.
Because there's compost and they have pictures of what should go in compost. Then there's recycle. Then there's trash, and I don't feel like it's delineated clearly enough.
Absolutely.
And so even I'm like, is this compost? Because this is like cardboard, or should I put this in recycle? I'm confused. I don't know. And then probably people just give up when a confused mind says no and truck it in the trash.
Throw it in the trash. Yeah,
it's hard. We call that post-consumer. So like Whole Foods is going to have some pre-consumer stuff, like let's say lettuce that just doesn't go bad, or that goes bad that never made it out into the cafeteria. That stuff they can control pretty easily. It's their personnel controlling it. When you have post-consumer stuff in the front of the house, you have to deal with everybody's own practices, right? And some people aren't going to care. They're just going to throw their stuff in there. There's a lack of accountability with those front of the house programs. And one of the things we stress at Recycle Revolution is like, it's a program. It's not like you can just get a dumpster and expect it to work. Just like you can't expect to lose weight just because you buy Jenny Craig cans or something. Like, it's a program. It requires like education. It requires consciousness. It requires being able to see results. It requires like being able to step on a scale, right?
Yeah.
And understanding why you're doing the things you're doing. So we like to make programs, and we always say like we offer programs, not dumpsters. Dumpsters are just part of the program. And so when you're talking about Whole Foods, who, by the way, I know that they compost there, and I the one guy that I've met at Uptown, they do a really good job.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about composting. We're going to be out of time here in a minute, but I've got about a minute. What is in store for the future of Recycle Revolution?
Well, right now we're doubling down on compost. I feel like the whole industry is going that way, but we're a small business, and we've always created a niche for ourselves by being ahead of the curve, kind of.
Yeah.
And we're lucky because we're in an industry where like you can already see what the correct practice is. The correct practice is that we shouldn't be wasting this much. And as we keep moving towards there, it's just obvious. The larger waste companies, they're always a step behind. So I think composting for now. And I don't know. We'll see moving forward.
All right. So great. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. We'll get to touch on some more of this as we move through the program. We've got Jill Lane coming up. How much protein should we be eating? And we're going to be talking about raising the bar. Stay tuned, everyone. You're listening to One Life Radio.
Tender is the night. Between the life that we expected and the way it's always been.
Wellbeing Journal is a remarkable bi-monthly health publication esteemed by intelligent readers worldwide. It's available in print or digital, single issues or subscription. Its focus is on living a happy, healthy life and preventing or healing illnesses naturally. Preventing or healing cancer, arthritis, cardiovascular conditions, and digestive issues, as well as nutritional solutions for optimal health are regular subjects. Learn more at wellbeingjournal.com.
Hi, this is Vaughn Eaglin. As a licensed professional counselor and supervisor, I spend my career helping people cope with emotional problems. But today, I want to talk to you about nutrition. People ask me all the time for nutrition and weight loss advice, and I always find myself recommending a raw vegan protein, a food supplement called Warrior Blend by Sun Warrior. I wasn't always active and fit. In fact, I was very overweight as a child, and as a counselor, I must emphasize the importance of the mind-body connection. A clean body helps with a clean mind. Start today with Sun Warrior Blend Raw Vegan Protein. For more information, go to sunwarrior.com and start living clean today.
Hi, everyone. It's Bernadette. Everyone knows that I'm a strong believer in the numerous health benefits of cannabinoids and CBD oils. As with any supplement, I always do my research and my homework to find the highest quality product on the market. That's why I'm so happy to announce our partnership with the H Hemp Company, founded by a group of the most experienced and respected names in the CBD community. H Hemp offers a line of innovative products that are all natural and tested for quality. Choose from flavorful oils, restorative body balm, and minty breath spray, all at affordable prices. And for every H Hemp product sold, the company makes a donation towards the fight against opioid and anti-anxiety drug addiction, an epidemic affecting millions of families across the nation today. H Hemp products produce a sense of calm, fight post-workout inflammation, and the company gives back to our community. What more could we ask for? Search online for H Hemp Company and use the code OLR for 20% off your first order. That's OLR for 20% off your first order.
This is Jill with the One Life Radio Fueling Champions Minute. Did you know magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate diverse biochemical reactions in the body, including protein synthesis, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose control, and blood pressure? Magnesium is required for energy production, oxidative phosphorylation, and glycolysis. That's a mouthful. How do you know if you're getting enough? Signs and symptoms of possible magnesium deficiency include restless leg syndrome, agitation, insomnia, muscle stiffness, cramping, and aches. Well, where do you find magnesium? Food sources include raw almonds, leafy greens like cooked spinach and chard, raw cashews, pumpkin seeds, black beans, avocados, and my favorite, dark chocolate. Don't forget those Epsom salt baths, and be smart about supplementation. This has been the One Life Radio Fueling Champions Minute.
Hey, y'all, it's Bernadette. We are so excited to be Ruby sponsors for the SPCA Fur Ball this year. And you know what? We wouldn't be able to do it without the help of our sponsors. Great companies like Squatty Potty, Sun Warrior Plant-Based Protein, Sunlight and Infrared Saunas, the H Hemp Company, Paleo Magazine, the Wellbeing Journal, and the International Society of Sports Nutrition. It takes a team to make a change, and helping the SPCA save animals in North Texas is just one of our many missions. Thank you for your support too, and thank you for listening to One Life Radio.
Did you know a mother rat will dip her paws into cool water and gently